Welcome to the Wisdom Channel. Bring love to the playground with Lisa Eve. Hi, I am Lisa Eve, here to help you reconnect with your inner wisdom, heal your heart, and live with more love and joy. Life isn't always easy, but what if it could feel lighter, more playful, and more you? In each episode, I'll share real talk, soul insight, and messages I'm guided to deliver. These are reminders of your power, your worth, and your ability to grow through anything. We'll explore self-love, spiritual connection, healing, and ways to bring more love into your everyday life. So let's take a breath, open your heart, and let's begin. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Wisdom Channel. Bring love to the playground with me, your host, Lisa Eve. It's so good to be back this week. I'm laughing because I have had such an interesting week and morning, and the title of today's episode is Why Are You Stressed? Why are you stressed? I really want to know. The reason why I am asking you this is because someone asked me this, and I was in the doctor's office a few weeks ago, specifically the cardiologist, and the doctor asked me, why are you stressed? And she said that we all have stress, but she wanted to know why was I stressed? And it really stopped me because I was like, why am I stressed? I was like, I have a good life. I have a pretty good life, and I can travel when I want to travel. I have a nice bed I like to sleep in. I have a roof over my head. I live in a pretty nice place, and I'm grateful for a lot of things in my life. So why am I stressed? And that's what I want to ask you this week. What is your why you're stressed? And if you are stressed because of some big events happening, how can we make that less of a powerful energy point in your life? Like, is it really taking over your life? Are you really consumed by your thoughts of this stressful point in your life? Or can we minimize and breathe through that? So as I do on my episodes, let's start with hand on heart exercise so that we can ground in our bodies for a moment. Take a breath. Okay, so we are going to hand on heart, close our eyes, and take a few deep breaths here just to ground us in our bodies and hopefully diffuse some of that stress that we might be feeling within and around us. So in through the nose. Okay. Out through the mouth. And we're going to do this 5 times because we need it. Okay, I'm going to do one more. And just because, let's do one more after that. Just get it out. Whatever that is that you're feeling, just with the exhale, let it release with an audible sigh. If you're feeling like you want to scream, scream. If you want to beat a pillow, beat a pillow. But wherever we're holding that tension in our bodies, we want to release it somehow so that our thoughts don't consume us, because that's really what creates the stress in our lives. We will ruminate. I mean, if you're like me, you will ruminate and overanalyze everything to its death. Like, let it die. Just let whatever that thing is that is taking up and consuming your energy, let it go. Let's let it go. So we want to be aware of what's stressing us. And we also want to find ways to release somehow. And usually the hand on heart exercise for me works. And hopefully it would work for you too. And why I also wanted to talk about why are you stressed this week is because last week and this week, as I mentioned at the top, I was stressed. How was I stressed? Okay, now in the doctor's office, as I was thinking about why was I stressed, I really didn't have a reason to be stressed. And then I came home and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go on a trip. I need a break. I was sick pretty much from January until about a month ago. And I love to travel. So it's been a while since I've been on a plane. And then obviously spring break, and there were crazy lines with TSA and all the things. So I was like avoiding all of that. But now I'm free. I have a great life. Let's go travel. So I decided to go to the Bahamas. And I purposely chose the Bahamas because it's close. I'm on the East Coast in Florida, and I could actually fly on a private charter for a reasonable amount of money. And I'd never done that before. And I thought, ooh, that would be exciting, have a new adventure. And I'm also going to the Bahamas, to a place I'd never been to before. And honestly, the first time I'd ever been to the Bahamas, the first and only time I've been to the Bahamas was like 20 years ago on a cruise that stopped in Nassau. And from my experience in Nassau, I decided not to return to the Bahamas. But then, as we learn on our journeys and on our paths, I learned that the Bahamas is not just Nassau. So I decided to say, okay, let's go see another place. And I decided to go to Pink Sands Hotel on Harbor Island. And now I was excited because I wanted to see the pink sands. That was exciting for me. And I got there and it's not exactly pink sands. I mean, it is when you're on the sand, it's more like a coral color. But if you're expecting to look at the water and the beach and see like starking pink, I didn't see that. So that was interesting. But that's not stressful, right? Um, let's talk about the flight over. So I flew on Maker's Air, which is a great airline. And I go out of an executive airport where you basically go to their hangar and you give them your bag. There's no security line. You just walk in, take a seat in their lounge, and wait for the pilots to be ready. Use the bathroom because there's no lavatory on the planes because they're smaller planes, and then go. But I used the bathroom multiple times before I left, but I still had to pee on the plane. So you have to think about what your bladder can handle without having a lavatory nearby. And also the sound of the engine is quite loud, and I did not have earplugs. I don't generally travel with big headphones. As you can see, I don't use them for the podcast. So I was kind of out of luck, and my body was under a bit of stress because the sound was very loud from the engine, and that was an hour and a half flight. And I would say that I definitely had to pee so bad when I got there. So there was, I had to talk to my body like, it's going to be okay, but we're not going anywhere. We don't have anything to pee into, so you're just going to have to hold it and figure it out. I mean, there's many times though when we're sitting maybe on a car ride. Are we there yet? Do we want to stop to use the bathroom, or do we want to just get to our location? But I think when our bodies are experiencing something unusual for the first time, something different, we might have a little bit of anxiety. And so really you want to take into consideration whether or not your body will be able to sustain itself without a bathroom for an extended period of time. So just sharing this in advance for you if you're considering flying to the Bahamas on Maker's Air or any other charter jet that does not have a lavatory. Okay, but I get to the hotel and I have to when we fly in, then I take a taxi to the dock and then a water taxi to Harbor Island. And that was fine. Everything about that was fine. My stay at the hotel, I will say my room was very nice, and the only downside was one window looked at a concrete column. That wasn't great. And when you're paying upwards of like $1,600 a night, you expect the very best possible room. You intend to have like the very best experience because it's a lot of money. And I can't even believe I'm sharing this on air with you, but it is what it is. Because if you look up the hotel, you're going to see it yourself anyway. So the truth is, I spent that kind of money on a hotel and I expected the best experience because, yes, I'm paying a lot of money. And I will say that in terms of ocean view rooms, this had a true ocean view. And a lot of places you go, you'll get like a sliver of the ocean if you have an ocean view room. So I give them kudos for that. At the end of my stay in this room, I decided to extend, but this was pre-booked. I decided to stay an extra few nights as an upgrade in an upgraded room. So I was in ocean view, and then I decided to splurge a little bit on the ocean front. I was downgraded. Now, let me say that throughout the week, when I got there, it was kind of windy and cool, like cooler than I was expecting to experience in the Bahamas. It was similar weather to Florida, but cooler and windier. I mean, we're at the ocean side, so it's a little bit windier, but I was not happy. I mean, I'm the happy channel, right? But I was not happy. I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I'm freezing here. And I did not have things to wear. So what did I do? I stayed because I paid a lot of money to be there. So I'm going to make the best of it however I can. I'm not going to lose the money. But I was not happy. And the food was not ideal for my sensitive body. So they do have a few vegan and vegetarian options, but not many. I don't sense that they are really catering to anyone who has sensitivity to allergens or anything like that. I know they do their best. They're an island. They import. They do what they can. But every time I ate, my stomach turned. It was the fruit. It was the chia seed pudding. It was whatever. Everything I ate there, my stomach turned. So on the plus side, I was regular that week. But I was really like, do I stay here? Do I forfeit all this money, which is a lot of money, or do I just hang in there? And I hung in there because I didn't want to lose the money. But at a certain point, you really have to decide what's worth your energy and your physical ability to live a good life, whether you're on vacation or not. So what is stressing you in your life? Is it money? And how can we lessen those stressors? Okay, so going on, I met with the sous chef and he did his absolute best. So shout out to Stefan, the sous chef at Pink Sands, who really did his best to accommodate me so that I wouldn't have to go off property to look for something that I could eat. And I ended up eating vegan pancakes, which were on his menu, and they were made with oatmeal. They were quite good. I don't know that they were necessarily gluten free, but I had to do what I had to do to not lose the money that I paid to stay there. And my body basically was stressed as a result because I didn't want to starve in the Bahamas while I chose to stay there. And then I did the upgrade, but this room really should not have been in service. It needed a lot of maintenance. And I was just really disappointed because I am a travel advisor. I've been in the travel industry for a very long time. And I was surprised that they would keep this room in service and especially give it to me because I'm going to share with clients whether or not I advise them to stay there. And then I will definitely tell them not to stay in this room that they put me in. So, I mean, let's talk about what the issues were. Now, it was oceanfront, it was beautiful. I had a private path down to the beach, but there were other people using it. And it had those sandburrs. I don't know if that's what you call them, those prickly things that attach to you, to your skin. So I'm not expecting that in this 5-star hotel, walking down my private path to the beach. But all of a sudden, I'm walking down and I got ow, ow, ow in my feet, on the side of my feet. And then I pull them off with my fingers, and now they're stuck to my fingers and pricking my fingers. So there was that. But the AC was very loud, pretty much as loud as the charter flight over. And the bathroom was tiny if it was for 2 people. There was also a trip hazard going into the bathroom. And the fan was worn out. The blades were like worn out, and that also had a loud, audible sound. The bed was depressed on both sides on the mattress, and I ended up sleeping in the middle on the high ridge. So I wasn't like, it was just weird. The whole thing was weird to go from the room I was in where everything was mostly okay except for the view out of one window into the oceanfront upgrade that was not an upgrade. Now, are these still reasons to be stressed? In addition to the food issue I had, and I was there as I was there for a week, so have already spent a lot of money to be there. I had hoped for a better experience. So I left a day early. And when I got home, I related it, oddly enough, to eating cake. I don't eat as much cake anymore, but I have to say I do love cake. And hopefully it's gluten-free and doesn't have a lot of sugar. But that's besides the point. So when I eat cake, I typically eat everything except for the last 2 or 3 bites. I don't know why I do that. I think that I do that because I've had enough. I've satisfied that sweet tooth or that cake feeling that I want to have, and I don't need the rest. I don't need the whole thing. And I felt like that with this trip. I literally was counting down the days from the first night that I was there. I was counting down the nights. I'm like, I can do this. I can weather this storm, which there was a little bit of stormy weather. I can get through the sensitivities my body's going to have with the food just so I don't lose the money. And if I cancel one night before the end of my stay, I did the best that I could, right? Was I going to get that money back? No. But a manager there, manager of rooms, Ninja, and that is actually her name, Ninja, and she's a true ninja. Like, she stepped into action when I told her my issues, and she's like, I'm gonna upgrade you to a different room. Okay, so for my last 2 nights, she had upgraded me into a cottage that was far away from where I was staying. So it was in a remote part of the property, very private. It was a single cottage. I didn't have an adjoining wall. Wonderful. Had an amazing view. It was oceanfront too. Guess what? Guess what happened? Couldn't open the door. The lock, the key would not work in the lock. Okay? Like, it was the end of the day. It was around 5 p.m. Everybody had gone home. Housekeeping staff had to help me move where I was carrying most of my stuff. And we couldn't get the door to open. This is exhausting. It feels exhausting. So she had to use her master key. She opened the door. And then the room is beautiful. And I saw actually things in the room that would resonate for me and tell me that I was in the right place. However, there was no phone in the room. And if anything happened, I couldn't use my cell service, which happened that night because the winds picked up and the power cut out and the cell service went out. If I needed anything, I couldn't reach anybody. So as a single female who travels alone most of the time, I choose places that I feel safe in. And as nice as this second upgrade was, there were still issues. So I was like, F it, I'm checking out. Like, I have to go. This is like, all the signs are pointing to leave, Lisa, leave. Okay, so I check out the next day. But I want to say again, Ninja, and it's her birthday. So happy birthday, girl. I appreciate you. She took me from my checkout all the way to the airport. And I have never experienced service like that in the hotel industry. In the hospitality industry, people don't go above and beyond. And I really felt like Ninja was like, I'm going to take care of her and make sure that she is supported all the way until she leaves. Nobody would normally do that. And she did it complimentary. I mean, I'm not getting the money back on the last night, but how she supported and cared for me on my way out, I really appreciated. And so, shout out to you, girl. Thank you so much for taking care of me when I left. And I've never experienced anything like that before. So, thank you, and happy birthday. Now, there is one other place that I went to on island, Marcos. It's a purple building or a purple house. I don't remember where I was, but I was wandering. Okay, so I took a taxi. Now, typically on Harbor Island, you rent a golf cart, which I could have done, but I just didn't see the value for me to spend $150 a day for the golf cart when I don't know where I'm going. You have to drive on the left. And I just didn't have that kind of energy for that type of adventure for me. So I was going to walk, but you really can't walk. It's long, it's hot. So I took a taxi. That worked. I find ways. So if I am feeling stressed about something, I find a workaround. We find workarounds that will work for us so that we don't have to stay focused on what is stressing us. I thought for sure, intuitively, I was going to walk because that's what I like to do. I like to walk. It was going to be a long walk. But they have taxis. I didn't know they had taxis. So I called a taxi and I paid $7 to go to where I wanted to go. But then when I got to where I wanted to go for a late lunch, they didn't have anything. They were during happy hour and all they had were nibbles. And for me, I needed more than hummus and veggies. So now I'm walking around town and looking for something to eat. I don't know where to go. Most places are closed. They're going to open in an hour and a half for dinner. So I'm just asking people, where can I go? They're pointing me in the direction of seafood places. I'm not telling them that I'm vegetarian and vegan because I don't want to hear that there's nothing for me to eat on island. so I'm walking around in a local in a restaurant that's not open for dinner yet, points me towards Marcos, the purple building. So I continue my walk. I find it. I try to open the door. The door is stuck. I can't open the door and I'm just like ready to bawl. I'm so exhausted. I'm just ready to cry. Because I'm like, I'm tired. I've been walking around, wandering, looking for something to eat. I'm hungry. Can I use my phone? My phone wasn't working, even though my cellular was on and my data was on, all of that. Like, I was just having difficulty in the Bahamas. I mean, you could see, why are you stressed, right? But is this the end of the world? No. So I'm about to walk away from Marcos, and then the door opens. Marcos opens the door for me. He's like, I'm so sorry. Sometimes they get stuck. And I just ask him point blank, I'm like, do you have anything for vegetarian or vegan to eat? And he's like, yeah, I have some. Here's the menu. I look at the menu and I see veggie pasta. I know it's not gluten-free. I know this, right? Because I've had this experience already. What am I going to do? And I just mumbled under my breath, I'm going to starve in the Bahamas. This is not working out for me. And he said, no, I'm going to make you something. And I go in and he makes me veggie pasta and I'm just like, body, you're going to have to tough this out. We know it's not gluten-free, but you're just going to have to do the best you can because we're hungry. So Marcos made such a good veggie pasta. It was so flavorful and I could tell it was made with love. And that's the difference. Also, a lot of times I'll order in food, but people are just doing their jobs. They might not actually love what they do. Marcos he loves what he does. And after he served me, I asked him to join me at the table for conversation. And he told me how he works 7 days a week. And for 14 years, he never took a day off in his previous culinary jobs. I mean, that's dedication. That's commitment. And then he opened his own spot. And he is dedicated. Like, he's open 7 days a week. He never takes a day off because where he works is his love. He loves to serve people. And he said to me, he's like, I did not like it when you said that you were going to starve in the Bahamas. He said to me, he's like, girl, you don't know who you're talking to. Like, I'm going to take care of her. I was like, yes, he did. He totally took care of me. Even though it was not gluten-free, he totally took care of me. So no matter if we're stressed, no matter where we are on our paths, there's always someone who's going to help us. All we have to do is ask. We have to just have that courage to say, like, I need help. I need to eat. Somebody please feed me. And someone will show up on our paths. And for me, on my path, it was Marcos, it was Ninja, it was Stefan. And even though my body went through a lot this past week, there were people there. There were people there to help me however they could help me. And my flight back was fine. Yes, it was like the windiest day of the week. I was scared we weren't going to take off, but I decided to fly back on commercial. And I have a credit on my Maker's Air charter. So if I decide to go to the Bahamas again, I have a credit. But now I'll bring earplugs because I've learned. And then even recording this podcast. Now, I want to share with you, my audience, that I'm going through a transition with my podcast. I have loved and appreciated the opportunity to launched my podcast, The Wisdom Channel, on the Transformation Network. They helped me get out there and share my story and my wisdom with you. And I just felt like it was time for me to do this on my own. And so I'm in a bit of a transition. And I might need to update some thumbnails and some images, but you will still find me on YouTube. I will still continue to do the second and fourth Thursday of every month. That is my intention. And I am just working through it as best as I can. And so this morning, as I was coming on to record this next episode, everything didn't work. I mean, everything that could go wrong was going wrong to record this. My audio is not working, so I have a producer, and thank you very much to my producer. The audio wasn't working, the video is not working, and we had to troubleshoot for nearly an hour. I'm not using earbuds as I typically do with the wire hanging down. I think it's fine. You'll be able to hear me just fine, is what my producer says. So I'm super grateful for that. And I would just say that when we are looking at our lives, no matter what goes wrong, I mean, even when my dad passed, that felt stressful, right? For my body. It was like a lot of grief. Even when we are dealing with people in our lives who don't treat us well, and we are stressed over how hurt we are or how we're so confused, why are they treating us this way? We will often ruminate and go over and over about these things that really we're just giving them power. We're giving these issues the power to consume us. Whereas if we could, again, this is part of my teaching, I teach that our path to happiness is to learn to love ourselves. Like, that is our path. And so if we can continue to peel back all the layers that are not loving, like, I really should have left the Bahamas on the second day, if I'm honest. If I'm honest with myself, like, the first time my stomach turned, and the first time that my tongue and my throat was inflamed, feeling an allergen to my body, like, I shouldn't be waiting until I might die from a sensitivity to food. You know, but I trust myself, like, body, you'll get through this. You'll be fine. But if we really listen to ourselves about what we need in that moment, we will let go of people, places, and things quickly, and those thoughts with them. I know it's not easy. I get it. Because especially with people who we love, when we don't feel like they love us back the way that we want them to, it's hard. It's hard to accept that. Like, they're not the person for us. Or I'm not going to have that relationship with them, but I totally thought I could see it. Like when you meet someone, you know, and you can see your whole future with them, but then it doesn't work out that way. And you're like, but I could see it. I don't understand. And then we start to doubt our intuition as well, right? Because if we're committed and we could feel something and we can see something and then it doesn't turn out that way, we're like, well, why did that happen? Why did that happen? And I feel like the way we move forward in our lives is by seeing it as an opportunity to grow. Okay, so it didn't work out. I'm supposed to pivot. And I said in the last episode that when we hit a wall, we pivot. When I kept coming up against all these issues in the Bahamas, I should have pivoted earlier, right? I didn't want to lose out on the money, but really I was hurting myself. Literally. I kept on eating the foods that was making my stomach turn because I didn't want to lose the money. But how often do we do this in our lives? We stay in something that is truly not good for us. We see all the red flags, but we really want to make it work. You know, we think that we can convince others to love us the way that we need. But we can't, because everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own journey. I mean, think about all the thoughts that you have in a day. And then your neighbor has that too. They're going through their own stuff. Everybody has all these thoughts, all these plans, all these expectations, all these promises, all this angst. We are living in a stressful world. Like the doctor said, she said, everybody has stress, but why are you stressed? What is bringing you stress today? Because when I had my heart attack, I was in heavy grief territory. And I was feeling rejected, and I was feeling isolated and shunned, but I stayed in that misery so much that I created the heart attack. You know, like I ruminated. Our minds and our bodies are connected. So what we feed our minds can stress out our bodies. And when our bodies are telling us, time out, I can't handle this, or I don't want to have diarrhea for the third day in a row. And I hate to be TMI, but like, who wants that? Like, is it really worth the financial expense? I don't know. I feel like I stayed way too long in the Bahamas, but I love the tan that I got, and I'm grateful for the people who I met, and I'm grateful for the lessons. Okay? So when things don't work out the way that we had hoped they would, it's not worth stressing ourselves out. It's just not. We all have the power to make different choices in our lives. So what is something that you can do for yourself today that lessens that burden for yourself? And it's not to flip off the person who cut you off in traffic, because you're just going to stay then in that anger. If someone cuts you off in traffic, they're in a rush. Whatever. It's not personal. You're just another car to them. But people are angry these days. People are coming to life with a lot of anger and a lot of fire, as we are in the fire horse year. But let it be a fire under your ass to do things differently now. Let it allow you, or give yourself permission to change the way you do things for yourself so that you can love yourself more. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Wisdom Channel. Bring love. Love. I'm wearing my heart necklace and my heart earrings because I want to bring love to your world today. Please be the best you can be for yourself. You deserve the life that you dream of. I deserve the life that I dream of too. And I think in the future, I'll be a little bit more cautious about where I spend my money. Okay. So you can find out more about me on thehappychannel.com. And please continue to follow me on YouTube at Lisa Eve to watch all the previous episodes and to look out for new and upcoming episodes. It was so good to spend this time with you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. I am Lisa Eve. Thank you for listening to the Wisdom Channel. Bring love to the playground, airing every second and fourth Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Remember, self-love is the foundation of your happiness. So take one small step today to nurture your beautiful self. To go deeper on your healing and self-discovery journey, pick up my book, The Love Channel, Finding Your Way to Happiness, available now on Amazon. And for daily inspiration and uplifting content, visit thehappychannel.com. Until next time, keep your heart open, walk your path with love, and never forget, you have the power to heal.